Hello, welcome to Echoes of Uncertainty. I am your host, Uby, and I'm joined today, folks. I am joined. It is not just me. By my friend Courtney. I met her over Galentine's Day, as you guys remember a few episodes back. And so, Courtney, welcome to Echoes of Uncertainty.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So, to start off this episode and all episodes, what is your uncertainty?
Yeah, my uncertainty. I was sort of processing some of the things that you and I kind of bonded over, like neighborhood dramas. And it sort of got me thinking about my uncertainty sort of around community, and kind of where within my state that I want to live, and thinking about kind of what community do I want to be surrounded by? I think in your 30s, you sort of start to bridge off kind of in your communities. People start getting married and having kids, or they're still sort of single and having their, pet as their kid. And so I'm sort of, contemplating my uncertainty is just sort of like who do I want to be around? What community do I want? What neighbor drama do I want to be a part of? Um, that's sort of my uncertainty right now.
I I feel that, and even looking at my own communities and seeing how the like literally my neighborhood is evolving and even like my family is evolving, it's the do I want to be closer to family and which side? My family, my partner's family, the people that get along really well with my dog. Like I hear that. Uh and even we're constantly looking like where we live right now, is this where we want to be?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe there's a place where the community like I can commune better or commune differently. And
Yeah.
so I think it's a really relevant uncertainty.
Yeah, because I think too, you just like change so dramatically. You're like late 20s into your early 30s. Like everybody's just sort of going through all these transitions. And so, yeah, I'm like plopped right now into this very safe neighborhood and safe community, but it's filled with married couples and kids. And like, although that's really beautiful and fun and great, I'm still in this sort of rebellious, wanna explore my neighborhood and, get cocktails and vintage shop and things like that. And so it's sort of even kind of going from more of a suburban to more of a city, but then having that be so different than some of my friends who are all settling down and buying homes in suburbia. So it's sort of like, yeah, who do you want to be surrounded by? How long is that phase of your life going to be? Who are you going to meet in there that might pull you back into a different, part of a community? It's kind of intriguing.
It,
It's overwhelming, but
yeah. Oh, it's overwhelming, and it's no. I think it's super intriguing. When I moved to suburbia, I cried. I was like, this. I love the city. I want to stay in the city. I'm not. I am a city person through and through. And now that I'm in suburbia, I'm like, I want to go to the country. Like, I want to move further away.
yep.
Um. Okay, so the first time we met, I was telling you the story about someone getting arrested. And so last weekend, 2 weekends ago, we. So have you seen the movie Heretic?
No.
Okay, I'm not gonna say much. But one of my family members recommended it, and they were like, "Okay, you need to watch it. It's amazing." Here's the thing: I can't sit through an entire movie
Mm,
anymore.
100%.
So pause it. Need to take my intermission. I go look out my window. There's three cop cars, and there's a woman in handcuffs
No.
standing in front. And so I'm like, "Babe, the binoculars."
Open the blinds. We've got to get outside.
So I grab my binoculars. My partner grabs their binoculars, and we're straight binoculars. And it's this woman that I don't recognize. But it's literally in between my two neighbors' house. There's three cop cars, and so we're trying to figure out because she looks angry. She's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then a ambulance comes, checks her out, and so we're like, what is happening? Because here's the other things: she's barefoot. There's a luxury vehicle with its lights on, and the door is open, and
Okay.
so there's like all of these very unanswered questions, like what is happening? But then they get out the breathalyzer, and
Mm,
we're like, mm,
mm,
okay. So that kind of that solved that mystery fairly quick.
yeah.
But then this is the best part about, oh, maybe it's not the best part. So this goes down for, let's say, 30 to 45 minutes, and I'm obviously glued with my binoculars just waiting to see something. So finally all cuz it's three cop SUVs. So finally they all pull away. And then this neighbor whom I don't know walks out, gets in the luxury vehicle and pulls it into their driveway.
Shut up.
Yep. Yep.
So who is this woman? How did she get this car? What?
I don't know. These are unanswered questions. And the car was there for about 48 hours and I haven't seen it there since. So maybe, like, in my mind, in the fantasy of making up stories around my community, it's okay, was this like a date? Was this a booty call? Was this an estranged family member? Like, what? I don't know.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like this person, okay, so like literally could have been a stranger, first date, third date.
Yeah.
They're trying to, I
Maybe they need some liquid courage to make it through the exchange.
got home. Okay, but why was she barefoot? Was she already in the house? Was the date
Right.
already happened? And then she was about to leave, but why were the cops called?
I didn't even think about that. Like, maybe she had already been in the house and they had some sort of scuffle, and so her shoes weren't on, and he's like, "You can't
She
drive
was gonna make a
home."
run for it, and he's like, pause, no, I'm calling the cops. And then they send three. So she must have had like a wild scuffle
Yeah.
in the house.
Something. I wish I could have seen what happened beforehand, but again, we are watching this extremely intense movie.
You're like, pause the movie, this is a better one.
Yeah.
Neighborhood drama.
Yes. Neighborhood drama
Yeah,
101.
your neighborhood definitely. I feel like I need to move in, like just for the pure entertainment at this point.
It's not, again, you're moving. So, and this kind of relates to a question I wanted to ask. Like, do you ever really know your neighbors?
Mm. Did I tell you the story about my neighbor, the one who almost died?
No, but let's hear it if you
Okay.
can share it.
So, and this is okay. So, do you ever really know your neighbor? It's such a good question because it's so weird. Okay. So, my neighbor, truly next door, this was around New Year's. I get a slam on my door at 6 a.m., wake up out of my slumber. My dog kind of barks. So that was like my indicator to make me get up. And I'm like, it's 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Who's knocking at my door at this hour? So I kind of like tiptoe, thinking maybe it's like maintenance or something. And I peep in the peephole, and my neighbor is just like curled up on the ground. So I'm like, my mental health, background, I start being like, okay, maybe panic attack, maybe, something happened with, their partner or something. So I open the door and my neighbor can't breathe. Like full blown asthma attack, like inhaler, nebulizer, everything, can't breathe. So I just go straight into, do I need to call 911? So I rush, get my phone, call 911. I'm like running around trying to get their nebulizer plugged in, to put the medicine in, like crazy. Like I'm in my pajamas, not even awake. I can't function without coffee. So literally I'm like, I don't know what to do. Finally the paramedics pull around the corner of the apartment. My neighbor goes into cardiac arrest. So they're like actively giving them CPR. And I'm just standing there like in my oversized, ratty, like Green Bay Packer like t-shirt. I can hear my dog, barking, being like, what's going on out there? I should have started with that. They're alive and they're well. And they survived. They survived. But it was such a like that was like my basically first time meeting my neighbor was me calling 911 for them. And then they came and they knocked on my door to like, thank me, and they're alive and things are great and everything. But then it's like I haven't seen them since. Never, like, one interaction with this neighbor was literally saving their life and then never again. So no, I truly feel like you don't know your neighbors. You could have the most life altering experience with them and still not even know what they do for a living. Isn't
Yeah.
that wild?
Yes, that is absolutely that is absolutely wild.
Yeah, dropping that one on you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Doesn't like so are you CPR certified and do you think you should be?
I think I should be. I have asthma, so I literally like the next day was like doctor appointment, like
Yeah.
need to re-up my inhaler. Yeah. It's like it's kind of like your story too with seeing these neighbors in the most wild circumstances. It's sometimes those moments where you live next to these people for months or years and you think, okay, you project maybe I've seen them in the hallway. They're probably similar lifestyle than me, similar whatever. But then you only see them in these life altering cops are called. They're, paramedics are called. It's such a like you see them in the most intimate, wild
Yeah.
experiences and then never again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm running through different like neighbor stories in my head now because I've had some just quirky neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Do you feel like you ever really
So and this is do you think you ever know your neighbor? Maybe. It obviously depends, like, how much, like, they involve you in their lives,
Yeah.
and I think to even my own family and, like, my partner, there are days where I'm like, "I don't even know how you could have come to that conclusion, like, who are you?" So, if
Mhm.
I don't know the person that I have lived with for years and years and years, how can I know the person across the street?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish that we could know them more. I feel like growing up, I always had, block parties or I would be playing with the kids in the neighborhood. But then kind of growing up, talking to my parents and they're like, "Oh yeah, we never like these people never invited us over. These people actually, didn't like us for some reason." And it's sad to think that you can be in this neighborhood, have your kids playing with each other's kids and have this opportunity to truly lean on these people if you needed to, like literally knock on their door and have them call 911 for you. But then
Yeah.
we don't take those opportunities or those moments to really lean on each other.
Well, and so I was thinking about this before you and I hopped in here,
Yeah.
is, uh, I grew up in California, and my first California neighborhood, it was very Leave It to Beaver.
Mm,
We knew the neighbors, we'd go over there for, like, a cup of sugar, all of those things. When my family moved us to New York, I
mm,
remember we moved around to a couple places till we found, like, the house neighborhood, and we played with the kids, but I remember the next door neighbors ended up moving out because of us. And so it started to make me really curious,
yeah.
uh, why did they move out? And I feel like I need to go back and, like, ask my parents, like, "So, why did they leave? Because it was because of us supposedly, but, like, what were we doing or what was the scenarios around that?" Because it was an older couple that was, like, their lifelong home,
Yeah.
and they left it because of us. And I don't think it was us as in, like, me and my siblings or anything to that. I think there was probably other adult things that my young mind couldn't comprehend.
Totally.
But it's also like, what drives people to, like, leave the community?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And is it sort of those moments of where it could be phase of life, right? Where, maybe they outgrow the house or maybe but that's an interesting one where it's someone who's been there for this like their whole life or at least a large chunk of it. And then is it just getting new neighbors? I think that it's one of those difficult things too when you go to buy a home or you go to enter a neighborhood. I mean, you could guess who's going to be in your surrounding experience, but at the end of the day, you really don't know what surprises you're in store for.
so I have a theory,
Yeah,
and this is, purely specific to my neighborhood.
yeah.
I think the houses attract like people. So
Mm,
every house that has gone up for sale and a new family person peoples have moved in,
yeah.
they always end up being just like the tenant that's before them.
Mm.
It's
Wait, I love this.
it's kinda so, I don't even wanna say it's creepy, but at this point, it's beyond coincidental.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you have some odd ducks that kinda keep to themselves, you get odd ducks that keep to themselves. You get extremely
Yeah.
social but quirky. And
That's
then
valid.
yeah, loners. I even wanna, we even get it so specific that, like, it was the same gendered couple, and it's a same gendered couple in the same house. Like, just insane.
Wild pattern. I wonder what about, like, I wonder if we took a study, like, what specifically about a home attracts a specific type of person? Like, is it where it's in the neighborhood? Is there a specific, like,
Mhm.
backyard setup or a
Yeah,
reading nook or a large like, I wonder what it is that would attract, not just within the home, but also within the neighborhood. What would
yeah.
attract a certain person?
Okay, so I'm gonna go left field real quick.
Yeah.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we are like, is my house haunted? No. Do we possibly have a friendly ghost? Maybe. And I know, and I say this, dear listeners, you're probably like, okay, Ubi, we have gone off the deep end now. Like we were talking about community, that's fine. Now we're talking about friendly ghosts. Uh, but when we play card games, we'll always play a ghost card, and the house always wins.
Shut up.
No, I kid you not. And the persons we bought the house from, they died, and so they didn't, supposedly they didn't die in the house, but I think that was a very happy place for the patriarch of the family, and so he's like, I'm never gonna leave.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, this is my home. This is, I love this vibe. I'm
Yeah,
staying here. Why not?
yeah,
You put money into it at some point.
yeah.
I love that. Do you think that ghosts can, is it just that they're attached to a specific location, or do you think ghosts can attach them to a person? And so, like, no matter
Mm.
where that person goes, that ghost is going to be there.
I'm 100% open to that. I think that's I've never thought about it like that. I think I've always thought about ghosts very much attaching to places,
Yeah.
but I could totally see them attaching to person, especially older people's.
I think it can be both because like, everywhere I go, when I lived in North Carolina and then when I went back to Virginia and then even here, the smell of my grandfather follows me and it's not consistent. It'll be like randomly when I leave my parents' house or something, I get in the car, I'll smell him. Or when I'm like have gone away for a long period of time and I come back into my apartment. And I don't like, I have specific items, but none of them are cloth. They're all either a picture frame or like a random
Mm.
chest thing that I have. And they all smell like him. So, I think that ghosts can follow you. That's part of your community. Like I
Yeah,
truly feel like it fits. That my grandfather is my neighbor, just follows me around whatever community I go in.
I love that. Okay, so all right, I so hummingbirds. You rarely see hummingbirds, but every now and again, I get hummingbirds just like fluttering right next to me that just like we have a little eye contact and then they disappear. And I 100% do think that is my grandparents.
Yeah.
And it's call it coincidence. That's fine. But no, okay, yeah, I 100% agree with you and like very much see that and experience that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not all the time, and it's been literally everywhere in the world.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And I wonder too, like now that I'm kind of thinking about my uncertainty of sort of this phase of life of what direction I want to go in to where I want to live. This might be, pretty woo woo, but I wonder if there's a way that I could just sort of sit down with my grandfather and be like, where would you want to go? Like where, if I would see signs or if I were to drive around certain neighborhoods and kind of get his scent or something like that, kind of use,
Well, that in so uh you get a paper map or a globe
yeah.
and just spin it or
Yeah.
toss the dice, right? Like,
That's wild that you say a globe because the one item that I kept from him in his old apartment, or they lived in a condo in Virginia, was a globe, like a vintage globe that I have that I could literally spin and put. I mean, it's probably like it doesn't give me the exact neighborhood because it's probably a little bit too big, but
right, right.
there's still a tie to him. I could literally print out a map of Arizona and just like close my eyes and channel him. I love that.
Turns out they sell maps at Staples. I learned that yesterday.
Good to know.
There was a road atlas, and I'm like, hey, let's buy a road atlas. And I was like, no, we do not need a road
You
atlas,
never know. You never know when you're gonna have to
right?
make a run for it. So,
It-
and you need to know where you're going.
Very true. Now, uh, I'm gonna slowly wrap this up,
Yeah.
maybe. Uh, on the as we're gonna wrap up our neighborhood community, woo maybe. So there's some crazy astrology happening right now. Uh, we have Mercury is retrograde, Venus is retrograde. We've had two different eclipses. We're just like in this really crazy, and I guess regardless if you believe in astrology or not, that's kind of moot. It doesn't change that the planets are literally doing different motions in the sky. Now, I am a very annoyingly so I will not make huge decisions while Mercury is retrograde. I will like hermit down deep. Do you feel like there's anything pushing you like you have to make a decision? Like, do you have a timeline?
Hmm. Oh, that's a good question to kind of contemplate. Yes and no. I think that there's an inner demon in me who loves impulsivity, who struggles with self-control and does want instant gratification. I feel like that's something relatable to a lot of people, especially currently. And so I think there is a little bit of just like my personality trait that is itching to be like, let's go find that next thing that we really, that's even more, you know, more of a fit for us than where we are now. Um, and then I feel like a little bit of the timeline that society puts on, women specifically, where it's like, kind of being around a bunch of married and parents, it's sort of like, okay, am I supposed to kind of get on that? Am I supposed to sort of find that partner, have that kid? And sometimes that kind of pushes me into, okay, well, I need to go find those like-minded people quick so I can, find that partner and keep it moving. But I totally am with you on not making rash decisions, especially during Mercury being in retrograde, because my technology has already been a nightmare. My feelings have been a nightmare. That like demon inside that wants to be so impulsive, I'm like, you need to wait, like, wait a couple more weeks. It's gonna be fine.
Well, and I really appreciate that everything you're saying is kind of what Echoes has evolved in the last few weeks of like feel like, and I'm maybe you're not feeling lost, but just like looking for found, like our finding found, like searching out that curiosity of like what is my place in the world, and as I am continuing to also figure that out, just like what am I doing with my career and like on a long enough timeline, it's just thank you for echoing my uncertainties. See what I did there. And that like this isn't a unique feeling to me. Like I think we all have this uncertainty of like what is next. Even it's so I get a lot of feedback because similarly, a lot of my friends are in that very parent, like multiple children phase. And it's the okay, so I'm a mom, I am also a career woman, I am this, I am that. But like, what else is there? Or what is next? Or is this enough? And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I feel like too, if you're a parent, right, that kind of can become an identity of its own.
yeah,
And then when those kids get to a certain point of independence, then you really question who you are and what direction you're going in. And that in itself is like a whole identity
yeah,
existential crisis that could happen. But I also feel like when you're in this like kind of 30s phase, it's sort of, I feel like a second puberty, but you just have
yeah,
you have money now to like make
yes,
choices that maybe you couldn't when you were, growing up. And you get to explore all of the different paths, which I think is really cool. And my whole philosophy is like, don't box yourself in. I think
yes,
even if you do have a kid or a partner, that doesn't mean that that you just have to stop being your own kid and being
yeah.
playful and
Oh,
exploring and
yes. Oh,
adventurous.
so in my earlier 30s, woof, uh, I went on this really big journey of play.
Yeah.
And it's like, one, how do you play? And then, ooh, I think maybe that's gonna have to be a whole episode in itself. Ooh, I like
Totally could be.
that. But also, I spent a lot of time with my therapist, and she recommended a lot of books on just like the art of play and different ways that adults can play, and how, as an adult, you basically forget how to play.
Yeah.
And so I guess actually that'll be my departing question to you is, how do you play,
Mm.
Courtney?
I love that. In so many ways, right? I think, I play with my dog. I wrestle. We get, kind of finding different neighborhoods to explore, kind of like the old days where you just touch grass, you roll around in grass.
Yeah.
And then just new adventure, right? I think keeping yourself open to things that are outside of sort of this tunnel vision of what's right in front of you. I think always being open to sort of go to that one random restaurant that you would never go to, or just go to like on a random afternoon instead of going into that on the couch on your phone or watching TV. Just pick yourself up and drive with the windows down, just start taking rights and lefts and see where you end up. I think for me that's play, is just picking up rocks and exploring things. I love that.
Okay, I love that too. Yeah. So for me, play is definitely exploring in the kitchen.
Mm,
So I have an onion and a carrot. What can I turn this into?
yeah.
And even so, last night or yesterday, I had a zucchini and ground beef, and I made meatballs wrapped in zucchini. So they were like these cute little bites,
Yeah,
and it ended up being it ended up being amazing.
that sounds delicious.
Yeah, no, it was highly recommend. Actually, I'll post the recipe when I publish this episode.
Yeah.
Uh,
Love that. Well, I
yeah.
think both of our plays are it's really cool because I think both of play our plays have creativity and exploration. And like one is this thing you can do with your hands and one is this like, kind of bigger exploratory thing. So play is such a spectrum.
No, it really is, and that was very much. And maybe I'll post these books or the titles of these books also when in the show notes. But it's that there's obviously a huge spectrum of play. Like there's organized play, like being sports.
Mm,
There's kids running around on a playground. There's painting, drawing, exploring. That play is such a spectrum, and like our phones have basically destroyed play. The TV has taken away play.
yes. Yes. And the spectrum of play. And, I think you were talking too about just some of the play being with other people. And for me, when I think more about that uncertainty of the community that I was kind of talking about in the beginning, like it all sort of comes together because that's what I'm looking for are my playmates.
Oh,
Um, you
I love
know,
that. So
right?
good.
My playmates in my community, right? It's not just about the physical environment or even like the house that I'm in. It's just like the community that could help me play to my fullest. Because I'm a kid
Oh,
at heart and always will be. So that's yeah, I'm looking for.
I I think that's amazing, and that honestly, well, why does that resonate with me? Well, in my current community, in my neighborhood, we have a baking group, and we meet every 8 to 12 weeks, and we bake off, cook off together with like a different theme.
Amazing.
And so, like, those are my playmates,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, your perspective really kind of helped. Like, oh, maybe this is my community, and maybe this is where I belong in this current season.
I
And
love that. I got chills with that. Yeah.
right, isn't that beautiful? Oh, and so, listeners, uh, not I guess the question is like when you look at your community, are they also the people that you would want to play with?
Mhm.
Like on the playground, if we were to go back to our younger selves, which I don't want to totally dive into adolescent Ubi at this moment, but think about it. Oh, this was so good. Uh, Courtney, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is Echoes of Uncertainty. I'm your host, Ubi, and we will talk again next time. Click like, share, subscribe, send it to your family. Think about your community. Bye, y'all. This has been Echoes of Uncertainty, Episode 8. Original air date April 11th, 2025. Special thanks to Courtney. This is a productive of Thrive 35 EP.